Hi, I'm Gloria. I was raised by my older sister Agatha, and she never let me have any fun. I wasn't allowed to go to clubs or even just for a walk, all because of how I looked. Beauty can cause problems. Got it? One day we went shopping. I stared at all the beautiful dresses there, but Agatha only let me try on ugly rags. What did I tell you? You need to use your mind to get what you want, not your looks. I trudged into the fitting room, and I saw Agatha's face change. She was looking at the other department at the store and seemed scared. To my surprise, she put the clothes back in their place, grabbed my hand, and dragged me towards the exit. Hey, why are we leaving? Move it, and don't ask any questions. I was supposed to go to a tutor that evening, but Agatha said that all of my tutors would have to come over here from then on. Ugh, why? It's one thing to forbid me from going to clubs, but my tutors' houses? The next day, I went to school feeling sad. During the break, my only friend Catherine came up to me. Are you all right? I wanted to let it all out, so I told her about my problems with my sister. Ugh, Agatha is such a bore. She can't treat you like that. I think she's just jealous of your looks, so she's hiding you from everyone. I told her that that couldn't be it. Agatha was beautiful too. That's why she's acting like that. She's afraid you'll outshine her. Being beautiful isn't a bad thing. You could use your looks. You spend so much time studying when you could be getting perfect marks for your pretty face. Catherine convinced me to try it. Our physics teacher was a young man. He asked me a question during the lesson. I knew the answer, but I pretended to be confused, batted my eyelashes, and pouted. Could you let me off this time, please? To be honest, I didn't know how to flirt, but I must have done okay, because it worked. Just imagine. He smiled at me and gave me until the next class to properly prepare. Was it really this simple? My math tutor was waiting for me at home. I decided to take a chance and tried the same trick on him. I doubted it would work again, but it did. You're so cute. Okay, just complete the task before our next session. When Agatha came home from work, I tried to talk to her. I told her about how I felt trapped, but she didn't even want to listen to me. You have to achieve something. You can't waste your time being distracted by friends and other nonsense. I got angry, and for the first time in my life, I talked back. Why was everyone allowed to do everything, but not me? Maybe Catherine was right, and Agatha was just jealous of me. We had a fight, and I locked myself in my room. My sister usually drove me to school and picked me up after classes, but the next day she was busy at work, so I walked home with Catherine. Let's go to a cafe. I can't. I have to meet my tutor in a half hour. I hesitated a bit more, but in the end, I decided I would skip the session. Shouldn't I be allowed to do that? Just once? At the cafe, Catherine flirted with the bartender a little, and he gave her a discount. I followed her example. Pretty girl like you gets coffee for free. Wow, that felt so good to hear. At the same time, I got mad at my sister again. I should never have wasted so much time listening to her. Soon, I got a call from my tutor. I'm waiting outside your house. Sorry, but I won't be coming today. Naturally, I was in for a world of trouble again in the evening. Agatha scolded me for my behavior. I was so sick of listening to her lectures. I'm tired, okay? I want to hang out with friends and have fun. You're pretty too, and you still have fun and relax. It felt like Agatha wanted to say something, but changed her mind at the last moment and gave me a weird look. I got the feeling she was hiding something. In the morning, my sister left early for work and told me to just take a taxi to school. I didn't listen to her, and I decided to walk there instead. Moreover, I had an idea. I wanted to change my style, so I took some of Agatha's clothes. They were all beautiful and trendy, unlike all of mine. I went to her bedroom and I chose a cool dress. But as I was in the closet, a folder suddenly fell from the top shelf. It must have been taken out recently because it didn't take much for it to fall. The documents fell all over the floor, and I had to pick them up. It turned out those were hospital records. Agatha had done plastic surgery. Judging by the photo I saw, she hadn't always looked as gorgeous as she did now. The first few surgeries had been performed by a certain Mr. Brooke. Wow, why hadn't my sister ever told me about this? It seemed like Catherine was right. Agatha was jealous of me. She was such a hypocrite. How could she tell me looks weren't important after getting plastic surgery? At first, I wanted to talk to her, but then I decided not to. I wasn't about to live by my sister's rules anymore. That same day, I asked Catherine to introduce me to her friends. We're skipping the last classes. You coming with? We walked, hung out in cafes, and then went to the outskirts of the city. It felt so freeing. I was overwhelmed. After a while, I got a call from my tutor. I was missing our session again. But that didn't bother me at all. I turned off my phone so neither he nor Agatha would bother me. I came home late. Lights were on in every window when I arrived. A police car was parked nearby. My heart immediately sank. Had something happened? I heard Agatha telling something to a policeman. She looked scared to death. She suddenly noticed me and said, "Thank you, officers. It's okay now." After the door closed behind them, Agatha went berserk. I'd never seen her look so furious before. "Where have you been? Why'd you turn your phone off? I even called the cops. I thought you'd been kidnapped." What's the big deal? I just went out for a walk. Nothing happened to me. "What are you wearing? Is that my dress?" Damn it. I'd wanted to change in the yard, but completely forgotten. My sister got even angrier, and we had another fight. While Agatha was taking a shower the next morning, I snuck into her room and took her clothes again. After that, she drove me to school. "I'll pick you up after classes." I changed my clothes in the bathroom and only then went to class. We had a test in physics. I looked at the questions in horror, and I realized I didn't know any of the answers. I hadn't been studying at all recently. Well, at least I still had my good looks. I stayed behind after class and waited until every other student had left. Then, I came up to the teacher and sat down on the edge of his desk. "I know I failed the test, but you'll still give me a good mark, right?" The teacher folded his arms and frowned. "Gloria, your behavior is unacceptable. You should study hard instead of flirting with everyone. This could end very badly for you." I jumped off his desk, grabbed my bag, and ran out of the classroom. He was just as boring as my sister. After school, I wanted to sneak out with my friends. However, when we got out, I suddenly noticed Agatha's car at the gate. I tried to sneak away through the schoolyard, but she noticed me right away. I had to wave goodbye to my plans and go home. On the way there, I got a call from my tutor again. "Could you print out some materials for our session?" So we popped into a printing center. Agatha was paying for some copies when she suddenly turned pale. It seemed like she'd seen someone on the street. Before I knew it, she'd already grabbed a paper bag and punched a few holes in it. And then, you won't believe what happened next. She put the bag on my head. What are you doing? "Don't take it off. Come on." On the way out of the store, we ran into a man. I probably wouldn't have even noticed him, except he looked familiar. I was so stunned, I forgot about the stupid bag, and I got into the car without taking it off. But the strangest thing happened at home. We arrived at the same time as my tutor. Gloria is switching to distance learning. At home, Agatha ran to her room, took a suitcase out of the closet, and started throwing things into it. "Get your stuff, we're leaving. We're moving to another city. No, better yet, another state." Wait, what? I didn't understand what was going on. Why was she suddenly acting so weird? I'm not going anywhere. I've only just found friends. All of a sudden, Agatha's phone rang. She answered it, turned on speakerphone, and continued to pack our things. My principal was the one calling.
"Gloria's grades have been slipping lately. She used to be an excellent student, but she's falling behind."
I expected Agatha to start yelling at me, but she didn't even listen to the rest and turned off her phone. It was only then that it dawned on me something serious was happening. I hesitated some more, and then I went to pack my things. Agatha never explained what had happened. We just moved to another state. We rented an apartment there, and Agatha found a new job. She used to have a cool one, but now she had to work as an ordinary manager. That was weird. But the worst thing was that I was almost never allowed to leave the house. I even studied online. I only went into town with Agatha. Put on a mask, a cap, and sunglasses. Was she ashamed of my appearance? Or jealous? Either way, I quickly got tired of living like this. Being stuck inside was awful. One day, I was scrolling through my phone while Agatha was at work. I had recently created an Instagram account. Agatha was monitoring my social media, and I couldn't really talk to anyone, so I had to create a new account. To my surprise, I got a DM from a local photographer. He had apparently seen my photos and wanted me to model for him. He complimented me a lot and suggested we meet. I looked through his account and read through the comments, but I didn't find anything suspicious. I was sick to death of being alone, so I agreed. We met in the city center. The photographer turned out to be a nice guy. He took some pictures of me.
Do you want to see a beautiful place?
I agreed, without suspecting a thing. We came to an area I had never visited before, and the photographer got out of the car. I wanted to follow him, but the door was locked. I pulled the handle and I shouted, but no one could hear me. Ugh, I was such an idiot. I should have listened to my sister. Right, I could call her. As soon as I picked my phone up, a man got into the car. I recognized him. I had seen him at the printing center. Once again, I noticed that he wasn't just familiar. He looked similar to me. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. My name is Mr. Brooke. Huh? Mr. Brooke? Why did that name sound familiar? That was when I remembered seeing it in Agatha's medical records. It was the name of her plastic surgeon.
Gloria, I'm your father.
I was speechless. What was he talking about? No, our parents died when Agatha and I were young. Mr. Brooke chuckled.
Agatha? That's not her real name.
All of a sudden, there was a knock on the car window. I turned around and I saw my sister with a phone in her hand. I could see a map on its screen. She must have tracked my location and come for me. Mr. Brooke opened the window and stared at her.
Well, are you finally done running away?
Agatha said nothing and told me to get out. But I stayed where I was and demanded an explanation. Is it true that this man is our father? Mr. Brooke laughed.
Your father? No, Gloria. I am your father. And she's not your sister. She's your mom.
Did I hear that right? Was he joking? But Agatha had frozen and looked down. She stayed silent for a moment and then told me everything from the very beginning. A long time ago, she had met Mr. Brooke, and they'd even had a daughter. Me. Agatha hadn't been much to look at, but she'd always had dreams of changing and becoming beautiful. Mr. Brooke had done several surgeries on her. The results had been amazing. Agatha not only turned into a beauty, but also started looking 10 years younger. He immediately began to promote his work. He would show her off at various seminars, boasting about his skills. Bit by bit, Agatha began to feel like an exhibit. Mr. Brooke was obsessed with work and wanted to keep improving her face. And in the end, she couldn't stand it any longer and had taken me and run away. She had moved to the country and changed her appearance one more time so no one would recognize her. Then, she'd also changed her name and surname with just a few documents. She had pretended to be my sister to make sure Mr. Brooke wouldn't find us. He had been looking for a mother and a daughter. After all, back then, Agatha had been beautiful, but lacked any skills. At first, she had been using her looks, so she'd gotten herself into trouble and had to learn from her mistakes. Then, she took some courses and got an education. She'd come back to the States after becoming successful. However, she moved to another city. For many years, everything had been going well, but Agatha was still afraid he would find us. That's why she hadn't let me do anything. She had learned from her mistakes and taught me that the most important thing was my mind, not my appearance. Some time ago, she had seen Mr. Brooke in town and got scared. He would be able to recognize me because I looked just like him.
I noticed you in the printing center and I understood everything. I followed you and found out you moved here. My friend lives nearby. The photographer who contacted you. I asked him to help.
I was so shocked I didn't know how to react. It couldn't really be happening. I thought my whole life I was an orphan, and now both my mother and father had shown up at once.
I only wanted to find my daughter. Agatha is exaggerating to make me look like a monster obsessed with surgeries. Don't listen to him. Gloria, do you really want to stay with someone who's been lying to you for so many years? Come with me.
I was so overwhelmed I almost burst into tears. I didn't know who to listen to or who to trust. In the end, I got out of the car and I still left with Agatha. Soon, we got back to our hometown. Despite Agatha's lies, I still trusted her more.
Gloria, I'm sorry. I just wanted to protect you. What if Brooke got obsessed with you too? I couldn't live in constant fear.
I'm sorry, but
I don't want to do everything you say anymore. This is my life. I went back to school and I started hanging out with friends after classes. But Agatha was right about one thing. I couldn't count on my looks alone. I took up studying again and went back to being the perfect student. I apologized to my physics teacher, and I even started working on a science project. Things were looking up. But one day, after school, Mr. Brooke found me. Gloria, I'm sorry about everything. I really do just want to get to know you. I thought about it and decided to give him a chance. We started hanging out and kept it a secret from Agatha. He would give me gifts and pocket money. One day, he invited me to his clinic to show me the place where he worked. It looked interesting, but creepy. I would never be brave enough to get surgery like that. The next time we met, he gave me a skin tightening cream. You have to start taking care of your beauty while you're still young. He gave me a weird look, but I didn't pay much attention to it at the time. A couple of days later, he invited me to the clinic again. We were talking in his office when Mr. Brooks suddenly suggested something that I hadn't been expecting. You have such beautiful facial features, but if we tweaked your lips a little, you'd look even better. I tensed up. Was he out of his mind? I wasn't even 18 yet. At some point, a nurse knocked on the door and called him somewhere. When he left, I noticed a giant folder on his table. I got curious, opened it, and found all sorts of articles and notes inside. Mr. Brooke had written about the benefits of the cream he'd developed. Then I turned the page and was stunned. He wanted to perform plastic surgery on teenagers. Agatha had been right. He was crazy. I got scared. I was about to run away, but then Mr. Brooke came back into the office. I managed to close the folder in time and acted like everything was fine. I sat with him just a little longer so he wouldn't suspect anything. And before I left, he told me I should consider getting a lip surgery. At home, I told Agatha everything. She was horrified. We have to go now. That lunatic will never leave you alone. Even the police won't help. He has a lot of connections. And so, we packed our necessities and left the city at night. Now we're staying in a small house in Colorado. We're leaving for another country in a couple of days. I don't want to run away, but I have no choice. Do you think we'll be able to hide and lead a normal life?
If you're watching this, you've already breached the SCP Foundation protocols. Stay where you are. The cleanup team is on the way. In the meantime, you can watch stories of the people who were lucky enough to encounter the most anomalous SCP objects. When the Foundation staff arrives, you will be treated by Class A amnestics and you won't recall anything. This record will self-destruct in 3, 2, 1.
I wasn't really expecting much the day I met Danny. I got out of my car thinking it was just another Thursday. But as soon as I made my way across the parking lot, a girl with a beautiful face came jogging behind me and tapped me on the shoulder. Is this your car? Hi. Yeah, why? Am I blocking yours or something? No. I just wanted to say the car looks sick. I've always wanted one. No, don't get one. They're too expensive to maintain. You're not so bad looking yourself. I blushed. I'd never had a girl say that to me before. I held out my hand and she shook it. I'm Paul. You come here often? Danny. Yeah, I come here as much as I can. It's the only place I can get my makeup and my lotions, especially the body butter. I'm allergic to most things, but their stuff here is expensive, but so worth it. Say, after you do your shopping, do you want to go out somewhere? Wow. Sure. Danny took my phone number and promised she'd call me as soon as she got home. I went into work and thought nothing else about it. I was just excited that a girl asked me out. It was about 5 minutes into my shift when I got into trouble. I looked up from my screen and smiled at the next customer. She shrieked and I felt a slap on my face. You bag groceries? Hey, Danny. Why did you slap me? She started screaming and hurling insults at me, calling me poor, and how dare I ask for her number when I was just some low-income nobody, and that she was going to report me for using somebody else's car and tricking people into believing I was rich. Honestly, I was so confused by what was happening. I didn't know how to react. I apologized to her, but by then, she had made such a scene that people in the store were watching us. The floor manager was teetering anxiously nearby, unsure whether to intervene or not. I signaled to her that I could handle it. "I'm sorry you think I misled you. I do indeed work here and I bag groceries, but that really was my car." "Who do you think you were fooling? Ugh, whatever. Get lost and lose my number." "I don't have it. You took mine." "Shut up, liar! You're gonna get fired for this. I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter to your management. Corporate will hear about this. I only hope that no other girls fall for your disgusting scam." And then, she walked out in a flurry. Everyone was so confused, and my manager was looking at me all worried. But I assured her everything was fine. I was more worried about Danny actually writing to corporate. I didn't want to cause trouble for my manager. And besides, I'd be the laughingstock of my family if they hear about what happened. It'd be like that time Uncle Joe got stuck in a chicken coop for 3 days. I'll be the punchline to every joke on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Danny avoided me whenever she would go to the store. She made sure she went to the cashier furthest from me, and she would glower at me from 100 feet away. One time, she even demanded to see the manager, asking why I wasn't fired yet. Meanwhile, back at home, my dad, my cousins, and my brothers never made me forget that some girl shouted at me and called me a low-income nobody in front of everyone. But life went on, and I soon forgot about her. Until about a month later, while I was having dinner with someone I met online. Emmy was even more beautiful than Danny, and we met by total accident. She was scrolling on TikTok when she accidentally liked a video of mine she happened to see. Then she panicked and sent me a 250-word-long message explaining what happened, and I found that to be so adorable I asked her out. To my surprise, she said yes. I wanted to impress her, so I brought her to the best restaurant in town. But as we were tucking into our appetizer, someone came towards us and slammed her palm on the table. Danny looked me straight in the eye and her nose was flaring in fury. But what are you doing here? Excuse me, miss, is this guy bothering you? What do you mean? You can't just go into places and beg people for money. Don't your bosses pay you enough? Now you gotta bother people who are trying to have a meal? You don't belong here. Get out! This place is for rich people! She shouted at me for everyone to hear. She was so loud that even the manager came to see what the trouble was. Danny mistook the man as a waiter and she yelled at him too. Waiter! I demand you throw this beggar to the streets at once! The manager just looked at her shocked. Then he looked at me, as if unsure what to do. I wrinkled my nose at him and smiled. It's okay, she doesn't know. Don't you talk to him like he's your equal! Go beg for coins somewhere else and leave this nice lady alone! At that point, Emmy couldn't contain herself any longer. She burst out laughing so hard she doubled up, clutching her tummy as she tried to catch her breath. Who do you think he is? Do you know who you're talking to? Yes, I know exactly who I'm talking to. He bags groceries at the nearby store. He almost fooled me too. If he's somehow made you think that he's rich, just know that he might be trying to scam you. I think that's how he picks up girls. He borrows someone's Lambo and rides around in it. But the reality is, he's nothing but a poor, minimum-wage sewer rat! At this point, everyone in the restaurant began to stand up to watch the show. The manager was sweating buckets. Ma'am, please calm down. If you want to follow me, I can show you to your table. I couldn't help but chuckle. She had no idea. You do realize you're talking to the person who owns this establishment, right? Well, I'm sorry for causing a stir, miss. I promise I'm just trying to protect you and your fine restaurant. Oh dear, this place isn't mine. It's his. Danny blinked 5 times, very, very slowly, as if she was trying to process the information. And failed. This restaurant? owned by this. He's the heir to the Wentworth fortune, the Wentworth chain of high-end grocers. I mean, you should really pay attention to the people you're being rude to, calling them sewer rats when you're dressed head to toe in fake clothes. Fake? How dare you? Your Chanel jacket says gun hell. Your dress is a clear knockoff because that stitching is sloppy. The diamonds on your wrist are made of cubic zirconia, and the shoes are probably the most expensive thing you have. But they're also made by children in Bangladesh, and I know exactly which knockoff store you got them from, because I tried to shut that store down only a few weeks ago. And your bag's just as fake as your hair color. How would you know that? Because I have the same bag right here, and this one's genuine. I couldn't help it. I laughed out loud. She's telling the truth. I actually own this place. My father's a bit old school. He sends his kids to work in his companies to make sure they know how to work hard, to teach us what it's like to be an employee, and so we don't become too spoiled and entitled. To be honest, it really works. I've learned a whole bunch. In fact, I learned that I should look out for girls like you. I could see the sweat form on Danny's forehead. She turned red when the waiters and the manager began nodding in agreement. No. Oh, no, please, please. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I meant what I said. I'd love to go out for dinner sometime. Could you just put your number in my phone again? People were starting to laugh and point at her. An influencer in the back began filming. I nodded at the manager. Harry, if you don't mind, would you kindly escort Mrs. Danny here outside? And make sure to post a photo of her by the window for everyone to see. And type in bold letters that she is not welcome in this restaurant or in any one of our stores in every country where we operate, because she's a shameless gold digger. Harry began shooing her away. No, you can't do this. I have rights. No, you can't ban me. Where will I get my Wentworth lotion and body butter? My makeup. I need my makeup. You can't do this to me. Oh, I can. And I have. I suggest you go looking for your makeup in the knockoff stores. Most of your stuff's already fake anyway. As Danny was pushed out of the doors, the whole restaurant erupted in applause, and I continued to have a very pleasant date, which turned out to be even more enjoyable thanks to what happened. Emmy and I have been going out for 6 months now. I didn't see or hear from Danny again. She was banned from coming any closer than 100 feet of our stores. I did see her on a tabloid once. She was suing a knockoff store for selling her fake Wentworth makeup and lotions. It made her face swell up and her lips, and one of her eyelids never went back to their normal size. She kinda looked like a bloated fish. Emmy finally got that knockoff shop closed down thanks to that article. So, in a way, Danny kinda helped Emmy too. Only she's not reaping any of the rewards. Just the consequences of her judgmental, elitist attitude. If you're watching this, Danny, just know that we still laugh about you to this day, and we have your swollen face framed. We display it on top of our fireplace every Christmas.